a sign and like
I know.
a wall, and there's supposed to be a diamond block.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was under the grass.
It's under. Yes, it's supposed to be below the ground. It's supposed to be in the tunnel. It's underground. Like the Y coordinate is part of the. It's literally the month.
Oh, I see. I see how you're doing this now. Okay.
Yes, X coordinate is year, Y coordinate is month,
The secret
and
tunnel.
Z coordinate is day.
Okay, well, the hole was covered.
How dare? Who covered it?
I don't know.
It should be like right next to the diamond like tower.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, like right at negative 1,000. Yeti, thank you for nutting in my ear.
Wait, there's a tunnel?
Yes, there's a tunnel. Did you just dig it to the ground?
I did. It's fine, I'll cover it up.
It was supposed to be like the tower.
I cannot redeem first, second, or 3. They won't let me.
Why? You refresh?
Hold on, let me
Okay,
fill
Mikey,
in
I did
my
this. I
hole.
did this. I did
Yeah,
this.
I'm gonna... I gotta fill in the hole now.
It's not my fault. The original hole was covered, so it made it confusing.
Why was it covered? Who covered it?
I don't know.
This is stupid.
This dick.
This
I don't
transphobia.
fucking know.
I think we're reaching a little bit.
A little bit.
Sammy, don't worry, you won't have a giant asshole in your tree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Even though it has a giant asshole in it. Yeti,
Hey,
Yeti, congrats on first. Win, congrats on second. Autumn, thank you for the hydrate and posture check. Everyone. Except Mikey. Except Mikey, you do the hydrate, but not the posture check.
I should check these nuts.
I mean, if you're offering. Steam, congrats on 3. Look, this is an 18+ stream for a reason.
I'm so confused.
Hold on,
Oh,
I got it.
I should probably say hi, everyone.
Hello!
How's everyone
Hi,
doing
how
today?
are you?
Hi.
We've been
How high are you?
We've been
Sorry,
streaming for
we got
like 3
distracted
minutes
with
and
Minecraft.
like we're talking about Minecraft.
No, I know. That's why I tried to get people's attention, but no one was listening to me.
I was listening. I just chose to keep digging.
We heard. We just ignored.
How's everyone doing today? Good? Great. I'm also doing good. And by that, I mean I'm ready for D&D. So, who else is ready for D&D?
Semi-ready.
Hopefully
I'm running
everyone
off
that's
caffeine, 4 hours of interrupted sleep, and spite.
And I'm ready to
So-
fight God or become her.
Or become him.
I say her
So,
'cause it's
so
me.
I'm glad.
nothing different for Mikey.
Wow. Actually,
Are you telling me
I
you're
think you're right.
Do you want to fight the
I know
literal
you
dragon?
well enough. What?
Do you want to fight the literal dragon?
Oh, what?
Dragging these nuts.
Perhaps.
Mikey, I'm talking about you. You're the dragon. Well, K is the dragon.
My dragon in the
I
period.
feel that way. I've also been doing that stuff as well. But feeling really good today. And with that, I should probably ask who else is feeling good today.
I am.
Oh,
first.
you are? Who are you then?
Oh, fuck. What the hell?
Yeah, I got you off
You
guard,
walked
didn't I?
into that one.
Hi, everyone. My name is KiryuMakotoVT. I play Arlos, the Hexblade Warlock, and, yeah, Mikey, go ahead.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Crow.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hello, everyone. I'm Cosmos Keeper, aka Karen, and I play.
Oh god,
Ah,
people
go.
are roboting for me.
I thought that was me.
Nope. Yep. Definitely Mikey.
Oh, sorry, Mikey.
What?
You're hiccuping. I already forgot the word.
Am I?
Roboting.
Not.
Win, thank you for dunning in my ear.
I mean, y'all were roboting for me too, so.
Yeah, fair.
Discord's been acting weird today. I was in a call earlier and it randomly just dropped me, but everything else is fine.
Yeah. Enjoy your lurk, Win. Doc, introduce yourself.
Oh, I didn't know Mikey was finished.
I heard
Uh,
enough of Mikey's. Unless you want to do it again.
I'm just gonna take that and go. I am the Pixel Doctor who plays Octod, everyone's favorite kobold.
Yay!
Yay! Go Mordred.
A link.
That's
A
not,
link.
That's not who you
Shit.
are.
I forgot I copied a link instead.
Damn.
So Mordred is a link.
Mordred is a link. Which one specifically? I don't know. I'm gonna guess Ocarina of Time. Or maybe Fountain Hourglass.
I was gonna make a different kind of joke.
Oh. What kind of link?
Hi, I'm Mordred, everyone's favorite fox lady rogue warlock.
Yay. Oh, excuse me. I got tired and yawned. Sorry.
Did Mordred bore you that much?
Yeti.
That's rude.
Nothing against you, Mordred.
I am the main Yeti. I am the Yeti VTuber. I am playing Urga the Tortoise Monk. Am I the last one?
We.
Yeah.
Alright. And I'm Sammy, your your TTRPG VTubing cat and godmommy for Adventures in Farris! Yay! Can you tell I'm
Yay.
losing it?
You just started.
I know. And I feel great. So, who remembers what happened last week?
We saved.
We were
resurrected
reverse
the
traumatized.
spirit.
On a quest.
Yes, I say we untraumatized.
You untraumatized?
We untraumatized.
I saw
That's
trauma.
called healing.
Sorry, I had to step away to lower my AC. Yes, everyone saw some trauma, sort of. A moment of Zephyra's life. So, how was it? Did you all enjoy it?
It went great.
What did go
It
pretty
was
swimmingly.
enlightening.
Wasn't it? You even got some lore about what happened in their future. Past.
Hell no. Mine was a content warning.
Yes, it was, and I'm sorry.
I forget what mine was.
Yours?
Oh, it was protecting my jelly beans.
You were protecting your jelly beans. You were a little older than you know now.
They grow up so fast.
Yep.
And I got a romance novel.
Little bit. You got a romance novel as they were time traveling.
Yep.
Lore. But yeah.
Lord. The Lord.
After going through Zephyra's fracturing mindscape, they were able to get to the center of her being, finding her true self and resetting her spirit and reviving her just in time.
We did a chat.
And now she's back at level 0.
With 5 points of exhaustion.
With 5 points of
Jeez.
exhaustion.
She's very EP.
Very ippy. She came back from the dead.
It does seem like a hard journey.
A little bit. And Arlos is
Long
currently
trip.
crushing her with a hug.
Can you blame me?
No.
Yes.
But can
Get
you
over it.
not crush her to death again?
Actually was stabbed to death the first time.
Can you
but,
not crush her to death this time?
Perhaps. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
So, with that all said, what would you all like to do for today's session?
I'd like to take a nap. Tired.
As Urgai, I was like, oh, perhaps we should get Sphere somewhere less open.
Alright, those will wipe his tears from his face and scoop up Zafira and start carrying her back to the inn. Yeah, I suppose we're right, Circle.
Oh yes, before I forget, I want to burn the tent down.
You want to burn which tent down?
The tent.
Oh, the tent that you're in?
No, not that one.
Oh, the other
The
tent.
big one.
So you want to go to this tent over here and burn it down.
First, I want to look inside.
Oh, you want to look inside?
Don't let Sam manipulate you like
Are
this.
you sure you want to do that?
Don't let
I
the
think we should take
clown
Zafira back to
see.
the inn first, probably.
I mean, you can do that. She'll be safe, maybe.
See, I don't like that. What the fuck?
Sam's getting in your head. Just burn it down. Don't just do what Uruguay would do. What Uganda would do.
I'm pretty sure. Hold on, what did you just say?
She'll be fine.
Did you call me Uganda? What did you?
I didn't say your name, so I gave up.
Also, Jay Wild, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the party.
Jay.
So
All
yeah,
I gotta say is at least your name's still not typed Ugu guy. Or
That
whatever it was
reminds
before.
me.
would you like to go into the tent?
Don't think, just act.
It's up to you, or a guy.
Because here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at the dilemma.
Uh-huh.
On one hand, I want to destroy the tent that belongs to the clown.
Uh-huh.
On the other hand, I don't want to set innocent people on fire if he has more people in there.
I mean, you can always check inside.
I don't trust this.
Question is, do you trust Chuckles?
No. Fuck
Oh.
that.
No.
After what we just went through, no.
So would you like to open a tent?
Sam, this group already has trust issues. You're gonna make it worse.
That's the point.
What the
What has
fuck?
happened to
I will
me?
look inside the tent.
You look inside the tent.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay, so as you open one of the flaps and let in some of the light, you realize that the tent happens to be empty, except for a large sigil on the ground, which, as the light glances over it, starts to light up. I'm gonna need you, Urgai, specifically, to roll a dexterity saving throw, please.
Yeah, should have just burned the tent.
Of course. The light was gonna get in anyways.
Yeah, but you could have walked away.
Like we should have done from the beginning of this mission.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess that one's on me, though. I'll take the responsibility for that one.
It always hits the corner and lands on the low number.
Every time.
12. 19. 26. 27.
What?
What is happening?
31.
I think Yeti's about to be sacrificed to the Elder Gods.
39.
God.
Yeti, you take. Un momento, por favor.
Lord.
You take 39 fire damage as the glyph of warding explodes in your face.
Wow.
Sam, I have 14 health.
No, that
Oh
was
my.
that was in the dream sequence.
Alright.
I don't remember how much health I had before.
And let's just say you all healed to 75% if you weren't that healthy before.
I think I'm already kind of at that, so that works out.
Okay.
I was about to say it's the same. So.
What is 75% of 45?
It's gonna be somewhere around 35.
It's about 35. So you just see Urgai go unconscious as he gets blown back and pushed into the water.
Octa will pipe up and be like, alright, fuck this place, I want to go home.
Also, the tent's gone as it
Is it-
exploded.
It is a good thing I have second wind.
That's on your turn though. That is a
Yeah,
reaction.
it's the 10th turn.
So as you all watch, Urgai is in the water, not moving much. Urgai, roll me a death saving throw.
Good God.
You're really gonna make him roll this?
Yes.
We're right here.
Yes. You're all taking your time.
I would like to poke him with a stick.
Oh.
You gotta walk up to him first. Okay, you succeed the first one. Do you roll with the
Alright,
stick?
but... Well, as he's being poked with the stick, I will grab him and be like, alright, we're getting out of here. It's time to go.
He starts to float away from Mordred's poke as you picked him up and stop his movement.
Mordred's about to send him down the final lazy river.
It's a pond.
I would also like to cast Healing Word over him.
All right. Go
What's
ahead
the word?
and roll the health.
I don't know why circuses make for such interesting, like, places in D&D.
And they can do a number of different scenarios. Urgai,
Guess so.
you heal 10 HP.
Also, the Healing Word is Yeet.
The word is,
Nice.
wake up, bitch.
Wake up. The
I-
word is yeet.
I will sit up out of the water and I'll just look around and I'll look at where the tent used to be.
It's burning.
There will be
What's left of it
nothing
is
left of
burning.
that clown when I find him.
You see a little piece of the tent fly your way, and as it's burning and floating down, you can just see courtesy of Chuckles written on it.
Hate that guy.
I want to kill him.
There will be nothing left when I find him.
They'll never find the body.
We'll never find the body. Yuck.
I'd do it again.
They're yucked.
I'll fucking do it again.
Oh,
Can do it again.
Why did we make Goofy a psychotic killer?
Yuck.
Gorsh.
Gosh, Mickey. I didn't know you were such a little bitch.
I'm back.
I'm back.
Alright, Urgai, you are sopping wet.
We'll get out of the lake.
Akdad, Alina,
Pattern for that.
your legs are wet.
Oh my.
Not like that.
I'm not even sure enough.
It's okay. Neither am I. That's why I made the joke.
I'll casually toss the stick behind my back as he gets up.
Alright, you throw away a stick of tree making. It's not magic at all. It's just a stick. Okay, and you
It's
get out of
magic
the
if I
pond.
believe in it.
It's magic if you believe in it. I cast stick!
I can't stick.
I now expect Charles to say that at some point, or I cast serious bonk.
Do it.
I really want him to yell, I cast stick, and just chucks. Like, I mean, absolutely chucks
Where
his
the fuck
staff
is
at
Arlos?
somebody's head.
Under Zafira.
He is kind of carrying her, so.
Just for reference, there he is. there is not.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I activate magical hats.
All right.
I
So,
really should conversation later.
all right. So, you all watch as 4 magical hats appear over your head.
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
This is how the card works.
It is in the anime. Anyways.
It was bullshit there, and it was bullshit here.
So, what would you all like to do right now?
What?
As
Where's Arlos?
What the fuck?
Zafira. Yeti.
Yeti, Yeti, are you okay today?
Oh,
I'll offer to help Arlo.
sorry. I'm having
Yeti,
a
you're
moment.
right.
How far are we?
Yeah, a
from
little
the,
bit. I think playing an old man is making you have a senior moment.
Walking there will take you about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how slow you all are. And if you linger here any longer.
Also,
No shit. Okay.
I'd like to
I know
leave.
somebody was talking to me in real life after I asked the question.
If that is the case, I will accept her help. Sure. I thought it was gonna be a little closer than this, so I was gonna be able to do it in one go.
Yeah, no, you guys walked a little ways out of here. Out of there. Alright. So, Alina and Arlos, you throw Zafira over your arms as you all start to walk back to Belakaya and by the frost. I'm just gonna move you all to the road.
On the road again.
Assuming you guys are gonna be set up something like this or something.
Yes.
Probably.
Alright. Well, as you're walking down the road, nothing really comes out to attack you. Everything seems pretty peaceful. The only thing you really see is a small pillar of smoke coming up in the distance. Probably a campfire or something. But you also see a small dust cloud, a large dust cloud coming at you along the road. With a large figure inside of it.
God damn it! Can't we just go home?
No.
And as it gets closer, what would you all like to do?
Arlo's carry her a moment.
Sure. That was kind of the game plan, but yeah.
Hold on, let her cook.
Okay.
We letting her cook.
I'll step ahead to meet them halfway.
All right. You step ahead, and you meet a large, imposing figure who's very furiously looking at all of you. And as you hear this creature growl, Kay, you hear, "Where is she? Where is she?
Oh,
What did you do?"
Oh no.
I'll walk over to Charles.
Easy, big guy. Easy.
Oh, Charlie.
Get
It's
away.
alright.
She's okay.
Show me.
She's alive. We saved her. I will gesture for Arlos to bring Zafira over.
As you're looking at Charlie, all his hair is like standing on edge. Electrical sparks zipping between all the like perked up pins and needles that are his fur. And his usually calm face is showing a bright mouth, jagged jaws, and an angry scowl just plastered across it.
I need you to calm down first.
Show me. Show me she's okay.
She's exhausted.
And I'm not. I trusted her with you. And you get her killed?
Well, if you want to
He
be...
is very much alive.
She is alive.
We didn't expect this either.
Would you like to bring her forward and present her?
Sure.
Sometimes I feel like you guys like drawing things out.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, like if you want to bring up Zafira, just bring her up.
Am I muted?
I mean,
No.
Oh.
I mean, I gestured to bring her closer.
Yeah, bring her closer.
I just thought I did. I'm so confused.
You can physically do it on the board.
Oh, sorry. I'm doing test hands on Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, your favorite.
My
Never
bad.
Bonk.
mind. Zephyr.
Lol.
Zephyr, are you okay? I'm fine. Mostly. I'm just. They shouldn't have put you through that. You shouldn't have been hurt like that. What happened? Someone say
It has
something.
something to do with the clown.
Clown?
I imagine it has something to do with the clown.
What clown?
The one that blew up the tent and almost killed me.
You say having walked about 10 minutes away from
I'll
the tent?
explain.
Alright.
Madeline, I think get this one.
It's right over there.
it's
I'll wait
right
for
there.
this smolder.
Wait.
I stabbed her, Charlie.
You.
It was me.
Why would you? She's your daughter!
Don't think I know that? I didn't know it was her at the fucking time. Do you honestly think I would go out of my way to purposely stab her?
I don't know. Did you?
No, you idiot.
What did you just call him?
It's times like these, I'm glad my children can't talk.
There's no winning this. Anyway.
I mean, you should be.
Safe. They went down that road that you just came from. Are the younger ones safe?
How can I trust all of you? You're not even our real parents. You're copies, if anything. Our real parents died.
Oh, I
Wow.
saw.
I didn't realize that would
So-
hurt so much.
That was unnecessarily hurtful.
We risked everything to save her.
And I risked everything to keep all of them safe.
But you were instructed to, and you did a very good job. How she ended up here is beyond us. We don't know.
That goddamn clown.
I have a bone to pick with him.
Does the name Chuckles the Clown mean anything to you?
No. Why would that mean anything?
To that with the
I
clown.
didn't know if he had. Well, he specifically targeted us, so I was under the impression you knew him.
No. Look, the timelines are changing. You're not the same people. We're...
Look at that. Neither are you.
He turns away from all of you and just starts to breathe and pant. It just kind of takes a step to face away.
Farris will sigh and then walk up to him and put his hand on his shoulder.
He leaves Zafira there.
I mean, I thought
Just drops her on the ground.
No, I'm not dropping her, no!
Ah,
I thought cats were supposed to land on their feet! What happened?
I am exhausted. Because I was on my feet.
Hmm.
You pass her to
Okay,
Alina.
I'll walk over. I'll walk over to.
I'll take
walk
her
over
from
to-
him as he
unless,
does.
Alina takes Zafira.
Okay, never mind, never mind.
There you go.
Never mind, I won't do that.
I want to also walk up to Charlie. You know, bird parent.
He's just staring away from all of you. Trying to calm himself down. Ignore that.
He's duplicated.
Oh shit, he's twice as pissed.
No, this token is just the Charles one. It's not the. Anyways. What would you like to say?
Oh, I thought Kay was going to say something.
I'm waiting for anyone to say something.
I'm kind of not really involved in this, so don't expect much from me.
What's that?
Anyways. I forgot that's what his token flips to.
I gave Charles a tiny bow as a joke, and she kept it.
This whole time.
I'll walk up like to his shoulder area, lay a hand on him.
He flinches a little bit, but stiffens up. Static still going around his fur. You can feel it coursing over your feathered hand.
I'll sigh, like a deep, troubled and weary sigh. And look up at him and just be like, Charlie, no one meant for her to get hurt. And we're sorry.
It's been so long protecting all of them. She's the one that had to get hurt. Her of all people. We've gone through the most. I didn't want to add to that pain. I wanted to relieve it. And help her smile more. A reason to be happy. I just wanted to be there for her. He's still not really looking at you. He's kind of holding his head down, staring at the ground. It's kind of shaking. The electricity isn't really bothering you. If anything, it just tingles as it courses over your hand.
Ignoring the staticky, tingly feeling, I'll lean in and gently wrap my arms around his neck area in a hug. As much as I can with tiny arms.
He flinches. But after a second, he kind of calms and leans more into it. And after a couple moments, you watch as he starts to shrink in size. His fur kind of dissipating as you watch him slowly come down and return to how he was before. I'm sorry.
And you don't have to apologize. No one wants to see their loved one hurt.
He's very shaken, you can see, as his eyes seem to be kind of red and puffy.
No one wants to be the one to hurt the ones that they love either.
Truthfully, it was an accident.
I should have been there. I should have been able to help.
How would you have been able to help?
I could have done something.
Like what? Would you have stopped me?
I don't know.
How would you have stopped me when I couldn't even stop myself?
I don't know.
I want to walk over to Charlie. I just want to give him a hug.
At this point, Kay's just kind of hanging from his neck because Kay's so short. He's having to use his wings to keep him up a bit.
Now that I think about it, in the entirety of this, I don't think Urgai's ever given him a hug.
Yeah, he kind of stiffens and is shocked for a brief moment. And after like a minute of you just holding him there, he slowly and shakily gives in. Wraps his arm around your shell. Just starts breaking down.
Sounds like a gesture for Kay to come in to join.
I mean, I'm already hugging him. I never left.
Oh.
Kay being supported by Charlie just by sheer strength of his neck.
I mean, Kay's using his wings at this point a little bit.
Yeah, but you could also just hang there and Charlie will be fine.
No parent wants to see their children hurt.
When we get back to the end, I may have to show you how these work, and I'll show him one of the Magatamas.
What are those?
This is how I brought Zephyr back to life.
Where have you kept
There's... they were in my robe. I would have assumed that I had given them to you when the time was right.
No. You never mentioned them once.
That may be because the toll that has to be paid.
What toll? What happened?
Zephyr can no longer fight the way she used to.
What do you mean? We went through that. We trained together.
Yes. I want to explain to Charlie what happened to me. Like the whole story. Like starting from the rat folk.
Why? Why did you never tell us any of this?
Because it hurt far too much. I didn't want to give you any more of the burden that I had to bear.
You can see his face grimace, as if he wants to lash out. Thank you. Do better next time, Master.
You did good enough. That is all you can do.
And you. He points to Arlos.
Yes.
Please. Think before you act.
You know, I usually tend to, which is the funny part. I'm pretty sure I remember, hey, maybe it's not such a good idea to stab the person who I cherish the most, you know?
Says the guy who got us arrested.
You know what I mean.
Now may not be the time. Zephyr needs rest. We should probably take her back to the inn.
Dad.
Yes, sweetheart.
I'm just glad
I'm just glad that you can breathe again. To be completely honest with you, I'm not sure how you ever forgive me for any of this. I don't know if I'll be able to forgive myself, to be completely honest with you.
She smiles at you. I just want to keep you safe.
Don't you think I want to do the same?
I came back in time for all of you. I'm still
And I
scared.
done you in.
Yeah. But I'm still here. Little me. She's gonna be
Yeah.
beautiful. But she needs her dad.
Well, she would need you too. She would get her
right.
inspiration from, right?
She would do great things without me. I'm not even supposed to be here. But I'm glad I'm able to help her have a better life.
You sure you've done more than you realize?
Just, don't take off that necklace, okay?
What exactly is this?
It's... I'm not entirely sure how it works. Joy said it's supposed to keep your soul bound to you. It's like a leash. I don't know.
Arliss now has some thoughts, and they are very, very concerned. We couldn't have found anything that would, not be so demeaning. Also, how did you even know that any of this was going to happen?
We knew that at one point something was going to happen. We just wanted to be ready, and we were working on something else, but that was the only thing we had finished. It's the best we could do. I don't know too much of the specifics. All the smart stuff goes to Joy.
I expect
She's a
more.
real genius.
You guys make a great team, you know that?
We grew up helping each other. I did hope we did. She kind of tries to squeeze the hug of, while a hug with Alina while wrapped around her.
Speaking of Joy, Charlie, did they get back safely?
I don't know. I ran straight here as soon as he told me what happened. I'm sorry, I was tunnel visioned. Was lost. We should go check on them. Sorry, I look, Zafir means a lot to me, okay?
Zafir kind of smiles at that. You too, you big goof.
Can I hug Charlie?
Yeah. You step up
Thank
and after Kay drops down from his hug,
Joining the huddle.
and Uragai backed away from his because you had to show off the Magatama and had to break the hug. You just
They have the communicator you gave us, so if she needed to, she could have called the others at least.
That is true.
Thank you.
Well, actually, I have the other end of that. It's only two-way. Look, the stones have to be set to specific other
Still.
stones. Yeah. Let's just hope all of them are okay. Come on. I can help with them. I can help Saphira.
Yes, we do have to. Sorry.
and he'll walk over grab
I didn't mean to
Lucifer's
interrupt.
arm and grab underneath her legs and just pick her up in a bridle hold. There we go. Take you back. She smiles and blushes. Alright, lead the way. Would you all like to head back down the roads?
Yeah, we should
I
probably.
went
Yeah.
to walk on the left side. I went to walk on the left side of Charlie.
Okay. Would you all like to position yourselves? Oh, sorry. Where you'd like to be?
Because I do not trust anything really at the moment.
That's in the back.
Hmm.
And let me just copy you all. As you walk further and further down the road, you start to realize that that pillar of smoke from earlier seems to be getting larger. And
Oh no.
it's a lot bigger than a lot of you expected. And suspiciously close to the entirety of Balakaya. And as you all step out of the road and get a clear view of everything, you all see a pretty grim sight before you.
My child!
Sorry, let me just get a lot of you how you're supposed to be. Sorry. These three aren't gonna be here. Actually, hold
What the fuck?
on. Hold on. There you all are.
Everything is still blurred for me. There it goes. Oh,
It's a whole dragon right there. There's no
Brother.
Bob on the screen. There's no Bob on the screen, so I can only confirm that Bob is the dragon.
No, I forgot to put a Bob down.
Maybe he's in the house sleeping. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's in the house sleeping. Don't worry about it.
Or he might also be roast chicken.
That too.
Alright. Yeah, you see a grim sight behind you as a large trench made by what seems like that dragon crashing down started a fire, and all the places around you seem to be burning as people are weakened, injured, panicking. They didn't start the fire.
Damn it! I was going to open up with that. No.
Why is it always dragons?
I mean, there's a good reason for that.
I was literally going to open up with. So I'll take it. We didn't start the fire this time, right?
Mike, you wrote
You're
it down.
welcome. I put it in Roll20.
Alright.
Should have been funnier.
What would you all like to do?
My child. I'm assuming I can't see him from here, but I would go sprinting if I was aware they were there.
No, they are underneath some rubble and behind the dragon, so you can't really get a good look at them. Plus, there's a lot of panic
Fine.
and movement around.
I say the fact that I know that they're there, but I can't do anything is bothering me.
Look, they'll be fine. Maybe.
Can I
Anyways,
see my girls across the way?
Yeah, you can see your girls trying to help lift up some rubble.
The urgency. Help the children. Joy, did you start the fire? It.
No, you didn't start the fire.
It was always burning.
It was always burning.
Honestly, I'm assuming we can traverse this like trench.
Yes, you could traverse the trench. It's just, awkward.
I will go assist Ray.
I'm gonna assume the rest of you all want to go across.
He does that thing where like you see
Yeah.
something shocking and walks forward automatically without thinking about it, but like he's looking between the
I'll
kids
help with
and the
Ray
dragon.
Yeah. Alina and Octad, roll me athletics checks at advantage. As you are getting help from Joy. Joy, wait, no, that's supposed to be Luna.
I
I'm
will
sorry.
transform if I must.
Oh, it's not showing up on roll 20.
One moment, I got the wrong daughter there.
Hold on, is my extension working?
I'm sorry?
It is. That's what my extension's not working. I rolled a 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not coming through for some reason. Hold on, let me see something.
Let me grab the correct daughter, because I put the wrong one on the map.
Did that work?
I see Alina's roll.
Yeah, mine are not coming through for some
I
reason.
can see you roll.
Looks like I'm
I can
transforming.
see you rolling beyond.
You might have to update. You do have advantage, because you are getting assistance. That shouldn't be Joy. That should be Luna.
Like I said, I rolled a 25. But I
Better.
Yeah.
can't get my rolls to show up.
Octad, you're able to lift up some of the debris, as Alina, you're able to reach underneath and pull out Ray, whose legs seem very mangled, and there's a lot of other debris just like in her gut, just stabbing through her. For them.
Well, that's not good.
Thank you. Please, if you can, help Sock and Ray. Blanc. Where's Blanc?
Ray catchers, don't worry. You're tough. You're tough. You will not go down yet.
I
We'll find them.
don't know about that. I don't think I have one. Also, Mikey, you have control over your characters.
Okay.
Also, I should probably give you control over Zafira.
Ray, what happened to my wife?
She... They escaped. They all left. I got them safety.
What the hell happened here?
I don't know. There's some explosion happening. Sock sprang in to help with Blanc, but got struck down. Everything's destroyed. My heart. They're dying. Please help them. Help my heart.
We're really gonna need to find a wish scroll now.
Octad, from that angle, you actually are able to see a little bit of kobolds from in the distance.
My baby!
You can see her pushing up.
I'll do what I can to help them. Just hang on.
You can see her pushing up against a bit of rubble as she's struggling to keep it off of her.
I will assist and get the rubble off of her.
It seems like part of a wall that just collapsed on top of her. And go ahead and roll an athletics check. with
Hopefully it'll show up. But
Dad.
I got a 13.
You have advantage because Var is helping you.
Yeah, that was advantage.
Okay. Well,
My rolls are bad.
it's fine. You're able to lift up long enough for her to roll out from underneath.
Oh, sweet bean, are you okay?
I'm fine. Just a bit scratched up, but I'll be good. Oh my god, there was so much damage.
Oh, what happened here?
Some fucking
Like-
weird guy just blew up everything.
A weird guy? What kind of guy?
I don't know, he was wearing some kind of like clown makeup or something.
Son of a bitch.
Help! Help! Yeah. Get them off of me!
Catch your breath. Let me go help. I'm assuming Blue here.
Yep.
So I will attempt to help them out. I'm assuming they're under the dragon.
They are under the dragon, they do not get advantage. Or you do not get advantage.
Would I hear them say that?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't need your help.
I would like to go over to help.
Okay. You can both roll with advantage if you roll fast enough.
Well, I got a 21.
Okay, you push against the dragon, and Blues has enough space to wiggle out, but it seems like their legs are missing a bit.
Oh.
Well, I can't fix that.
As Uragai runs in and just pulls Ray out, or Blue out. Das won't grow back. Sock. Sock.
What happened to Sock?
That's it, Sock.
Wait, the dragon?
They're all dragons.
I know, but we didn't see Sock as a dragon.
Nope.
Oh, so well, that answers that question. What happened to Blanc?
Some weird individuals. They took him.
All right, we'll deal with that in a second. Let's get you stabilized. And let's see what we can do. About getting the big guy back together.
Just stop the bleeding. I can. I can work on replacements later.
Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Hold on. I don't think healing word is gonna stop the bleeding.
Surprisingly, it would.
All right, I cast healing word.
Okay. You watch as the two stumps of legs kind of like calcify over, and skin forms over the nubs. Like this is
Right.
a lot.
It is. Catch your breath, though. We're on damage control. Turtle, we gotta help Sock.
I don't think there's helping them. They've been.
And Octod's like, no. We'll do whatever we can. I tries to go get a pulse.
They've been breathless since I was trapped under them. You can see Blue starting to break down as they stare at Sock.
Damn it, man! I'm an Octod, not a Docto.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba.
Damn.
So much happened. Is Luna fine? Dad, is Luna alright?
Yeah, Luna's fine.
Cool. Yeah. You can watch as she resets her shoulder.
Oh, she pops it back and she does that.
Pops it back
Nice.
into place.
Nice.
Okay. Okay.
All right, good job. I know that hurt. I've done that a few times.
Would it be the first time?
Won't be the last either.
I don't doubt that.
All right, but now's not the time for jokes. We got to get things back together here.
That wasn't
I
a
would like
joke. Go ahead.
I would like to roll for a medicine check on Blue,
All right. Roll a medicine check.
or would it be something
Did-
else?
I'm sorry.
I did cast healing word on him, so
Blue was healed, so the bleeding has stopped, but they are just like feeling residual pain.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Unfortunately, their legs did not grow back. The skin has grown over the stumps.
So the only way they're walking again is if they find an artificer or something.
I am one. Excuse me.
yeah. We'll deal with your leg problem later. We gotta help whoever's still going.
Also,
You help people. I'll deal with this later.
That's what we're saying.
also, Sam, this is out of character.
We
I
never should have
apologize, but I
trusted
can't
the
remember-
damn clown.
Yeah.
You were saying?
I apologize. This is out of character. I don't remember who Sock is.
Saki is the one that was always at the front desk. They would always be helping you and
Oh,
interested in
gotcha.
making sure. Yeah, that's them. That's
Yeah,
the one who's on
and,
the ground right in front of you.
And dead apparently, but I want to check for a pulse
Okay,
just to verify.
Roll a medicine check.
Medicine.
Also see if beyond 20 needs
13.
update. 13.
How do I?
Get
Yes.
your extensions. Alright, so you reach underneath one of the frills near the top of the head or base of the head, like right against the neck, on that threshold, and you place it right up against there, and you feel nothing. Just cold, red dragon scales.
Damn it. No, I refuse. I'm gonna try one thing. I refuse to give up this easily.
What are you going to try?
I'm gonna try to resuscitate them with my dragon breath of lightning.
How so?
I will aim for the chest. Like I'll be close up. I will use my dragon breath, but also try to do compressions.
All right, so you move to the other side of them.
Yes.
Var's actually gonna come around
I could technically assist here.
and place a hand on your shoulder. I got your back.
It may not work, but we gotta at least try.
On the count of 3.
1,
1, 2.
2, 3. And I use my my breath
So
of
does
lightning
Vara.
attack.
And Urg, I assume you also use Breath of Dragon?
Yep, Breath of Dragon, lightning.
Alright, I need both of you to roll me a medicine check with advantage.
I also don't know how to update the extension.
Fair. You would have to look at your extensions and...
I rolled a 19.
Oh, they're rolling now. I see
Yeah.
the 19.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they are.
That's not mine. Oh, there they are. All right, I just turned off the extension and turned it back on.
Okay.
Okay. That worked.
Yeah. Excuse me. Alright.
Sock just woke up. I'm sorry, I was taking a nap.
You breathe electricity into their chest, and you watch as their body like jolts for a moment before settling back down. Seems that was the only movement that was able to come from that.
Damn it. All right. Second option. We're gonna need a wish spell.
Please,
That's
leave them alone. I've tried my breath already. I don't think lightning is going to bring them back.
Was there anyone else? My babies are out, so I know they're okay. What about the battle toppers? Are they okay?
We don't know. I tried coming out to assist Sock, and I was immediately crushed. I just wish I could help.
I'm gonna go over to Blue and pick them up, and so I can bring him over to Ray.
You know, this is very undignified for a dragon like me.
I don't give a shit about your dignity right now. We got other problems. Bite your tongue and swallow your pride.
Fair.
I just moved you.
Better question, what about the armor? I put an order in for that, was expensive material.
I like how all this devastation's happened. Alina's just worried about her armor.
You can check on that later. Ray is looking extremely weak.
Ray? Not you too?
That was also out of character, by the way.
Blue. You gotta take care of them, okay? Just what I taught you. You changed the world.
Wait, doesn't Joy know healing spells?
Joy's not here, numbnuts.
She's right there!
The older... You know what I mean. I have limited spells.
Young Joy's out of healing.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
She's also freaking out because blood and destruction, and it's not her.
It's also a lot of fire, so she's probably, experiencing the PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be able to do a medicine check to see if I can help Ray?
Roll a medicine check.
Well, apparently she's got shards in her gut, so I don't really think there's a whole lot. Don't think there's a whole lot we can do.
Disadvantage?
Yep.
Oh.
You're not sure if even a healing spell would help at this point. Blue. If you find any survivors, they're yours to protect. Please take care of them. If you find him, make sure Block's okay. Mikey, is everything alright? I don't.
Emotional trauma.
I wish I could help. Fucking stupid curse. Octod. Come here.
I'll call out to the fox within me. There's gotta be something we can do.
Roll me a nature check. Disadvantage. And Atad, Ray is reaching out towards you.
Uncharacteristically, Octod will grab with his hand, like both hands clasping.
They pull you into them and lay one on you
Wait, what?
as you feel your throat fill with an energy. A chilling touch, if you will. And as they pull away, as they push you away, that
I don't trust virtual dice for this, so going physical.
was all I had. Please use it to protect everyone.
I will save everyone, and I will bring you back. I swear it's on... Well, not my dad. He's an asshole. But,
You're
Well, what-
very sweet.
damn it. I use jokes to deal trauma, but it feels very inappropriate at this time.
First roll 20, second 16.
There's
Don't worry, the pride of the dragon will live on.
I don't know what we could do. I'm fun spirit work Kitsune, but I don't know how to help a dragon.
And yes, Kay, I did, well, it was a bit more than a smooch. But, yes.
Also,
That is what
not
happened.
exactly a smooch.
Well. I'm not entirely sure.
Remember that thing that we talked about? This is what I'm doing for it.
No, I know that part. I'm just saying, you said lay one on, and that the way that word description confuses me slightly.
Yes, they smooched your some power into you.
Yes.
You know what? I'm here for it.
It was more of a.
Isn't there something we can try at least?
It was a lock and seal of trust.
Dragons.
Just get that reference. Good for you.
Dragons are their own being. They're magical creatures even older than I am. They're meant to be powerful. And I can't even get in there. There's something over them. I can't touch their soul.
Can I touch their soul? Question mark.
Would you like to try?
Sure.
Okay.
Why are you both asking like it's a question?
Make
Because
me
mine was a question.
a roll of some sort?
I don't know what I would roll for this.
I don't know.
Probably if it's involving souls can be akin to magic, so I would say Arcana or religion.
I was gonna say roll me a charisma saving throw.
Yes. Talk to them.
No, because it's a spiritual. It's like an emphasis of a persona.
I got a 21.
21.
You reach out, and something seems to be holding you back. It feels wrong. You can sense that there's dragon in there, yes, but there's also some sort of curse over them, keeping that at bay, keeping it sealed tight.
I would like to relay this information to the group.
Something Blanc probably enjoyed.
You know,
What?
out of character, that kind of
What?
I think I got a taste of what Blanc had.
A little bit.
Is it Blanc?
No, that's not. No, hold on a second.
Sam didn't catch what we were putting down.
Look, I may be stupid.
Yes.
So, what would you like to do?
You're talking to the group, or who are you addressing here?
The group.
What the hell
Is
can we
Ray-
do? We don't have
I
anything
said, is,
to hold a jar.
I said,
I mean,
is
hold
Ray
a
still currently breathing at the moment?
Is Ray
Did you
currently
not see
breathing?
There's a
Yes, like,
giant red
is
X
Ray
over
still
them.
alive, is what I'm asking.
Do you see the giant
No.
red X?
I did not see the giant red X because I was looking at something else.
Okay. The
Oh,
answer is
well, I
no.
was Well, then, I will set Ray's body down. I will, actually, you know what? I will carry Ray's body just for a brief bit to bring it next to Sock. so that at least the friends can be nearby each other.
You lay Ray. Oh, hold on. Let me actually put them by you. You lay Ray by Sock, having them be together as they rest, departed from this world. Roll me a history check.
Everyone or me?
Anyone connected to dragons.
So me.
Octad, Uragai, or
I
Kay?
think me as well, technically.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about Dragon K.
Yep.
I don't know shit, clearly.
You're
I
like
apparently am very in-depth in history.
Octad and Uragai.
Same.
You understand that dragons have their own form of natural being within this world. That when they die, their magic seeps into the land around them, changing it, giving it the fuel that once gave them life. Until the dragon is unrecognizable, and only the land remains, renewed.
Octod, now in a rage, like visibly furious and utterly like shaken, like angrier than anyone has seen him up until this point. Unfortunately, I cannot voice it because reasons. Shaking with anger, he pounds the ground with his fist just as hard as he can, to the point where he his fist bleeds a bit. This is some bullshit. The dragon shouldn't go down like this. I fucking hate clowns.
Dad, it's okay.
And he
We'll get him.
Octod doesn't even address Vara at the moment. He just turns. He gets on like the highest near thing he can and addresses the group.
Everyone else, as Octad walks past Vara, can notice that Vara seems a little shocked and kind of heartbroken that Octad would just blow her off like that. But she kind of shakes it off.
He takes the axe in the tree, stands on the rock. He takes a pose, holding the axe up. We will avenge our friends. We will take down the evil clown. We will avenge everyone that has died, including Zafira. She may be back, but she died because of it.
Can we not talk about that right now?
I'm sorry, it's relevant to the speech. Point is, we have a clown that needs to murder and friends to get back.
Oh yeah? Well, that fucking clown took down 3 dragons. What? How are 4 dragons, actually? Sorry, Blue. How are we supposed to deal with that? Huh?
We'll find a way.
Yeah,
There's
I
always a
bet we
way.
fucking
There will be a way. Who's talking to me, by the way?
Luna.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I didn't know if it was Luna or Var.
Bet we
So you
fucking
just
will.
want to sit back and waste all of what we've been trying to achieve, all of your time traveling, and all the effort we've been putting in. You just
We're
want
trying
to
to
give
keep
up.
you all safe. Okay.
What's the point in safe if everyone else around us is dead?
I don't know. This wasn't supposed
Well,
to
then-
happen. This fucking wasn't supposed to fucking happen.
Well, it did. So you know what? You gotta man up and fight the fight. We're here. If you want to back out, back out. I am not.
I need some air.
Refresh someone. Let me know what you think afterwards. I understand you're scared. I don't blame you. All of us are. But you know what? I'm not going to sit here while my jelly beans are out there in danger. I'm not going to sit there while Blanc, a good friend of ours, is just gone, kidnapped. We don't know if he's dead or alive.
Right, I should tell you. Mom and the others, along with Joy, they took us teleport circle. They should be in Drakfir by now.
No, they may be safe for now, but how long will that last?
They're across the country. They're as far away from here as possible. At least for a place we know.
Well, that's only part of the solution. I still have Little Vara here, I think. I don't know what happened to Little Vara, if she's still here.
You
Penny,
look on Charles' head, and you see little Vara just kind of like laying on there, just chilling.
See? I still have one jelly bean here, and it's you. You stowaway?
Yeah, I've always been a stowaway.
Point being, I can't sit around. Well, I don't even know where all my kids are. They may be halfway across the country, but I don't know where that is. I don't even know what a country is.
There's a reason why I feel closer to these guys than I do the others.
Well then, you should be just as angry as I am and want to get payback.
We will. And don't worry. Joy's with them. She's the smartest of us. She can take care of them. Mom loves her anyways.
Well, she was my little pyromaniac. Good student. Good student. Point being, gang, we have a goal. Paladin dance and this clown. Paladin, I don't know if there may be some connection there, I don't know. But we gotta start getting shit together. Everything's going to hell. It's all happening at once. I don't know what's going on.
Wait, is that what he meant?
Is that what who meant?
The fucking clown. He said this is a courtesy from Dance.
The clown under dance?
As far as I'm aware.
Well, then even better. We work on one, we'll get clues towards the other.
I just want some rest. Y'all can use a break.
That fucking made things personal.
Also, Saphira, what happened? You okay? You look like shit. Well, about that.
That fucking clown tricked us.
How so? Charlie? What happened? Charlie seemed very hesitant to say anything.
Octa looking at Arlos being like, you do your
Want to
job.
sit down for this one.
I stabbed her.
You what?
Wasn't on purpose.
Alright. Just calm down. We don't
Look,
need
Zephyr is gonna be out of the fight for a while.
She holds up a peace sign. Barely. I'm not gonna be able to fight.
I've already explained it twice.
Vara didn't hear it.
I've already explained how the ritual works.
Did
Okay.
Charlie. Let's just say I'm gonna have to relearn some stuff.
I do what to say. I've already explained the ritual twice today. I don't want to do it a third time.
Bum-ass turtle.
No. I understand. Revival rituals can take a lot out of someone. Especially if... I didn't even know you knew magic.
It's not magic.
It sounds like magic.
Not arcane magic, it is.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
So I mentioned that worked
complicated.
a lot harder on Zippy. Right, so let's see if everyone else is safe here. And let's get some rest.
I'll look around the shops for survivors.
Alright. Anyone who wants to look around, roll me either investigation or perception checks.
We gotta look for survivors. I have terrible eyes.
Alright. Octad,
I'm right there with you, bud.
you look into a building and the smoke just bursts out at you.
Oh god, it's like
you
ash
are
in my
right behind
eyes.
him.
It's like fucking glass.
My eyes.
Kay, looking around, you notice a foot kind of underneath a door that's kind of buried in some rubble that's kind of shaking as the door's
Oh no.
kind of like fidgeting a little bit. And as you help lift the door off, you just see Herbert underneath there. Just like, oh, well, thank you. I was stuck under there for quite a while. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anything immediately hurt?
Just my pride.
What happened to the
enough.
kobolds in a trench coat?
We'll get there. Uragai.
Yes.
Cake, you end up helping up Herbert and leading him towards the rest of the group where everyone else who's alive is there. Uragai, you, as you're walking around town looking for any survivors, you see, the group of kids in the alleyway, kind of huddled together, just barely, they're covered in soot and stuff, but nothing directly seems to have injured them. They're all just, like, scared and huddled into one of the corners just together.
I will gesture for them to come with me.
And you lead them back.
We must not stay here.
Alina,
It is too dangerous.
Alina, you watch as the jeweler is helping up the blacksmith after seeming to pull him out of some rubble. There you go. That was pretty close there.
I'll say. I hope everyone else is all right. Hey! Oh, it's you!
He waves over to you, Alina. Wow, that's... Alright, that's another one. Wait, were you here when the...
I'll go over to them. Are you both okay?
I'm fine. Are you alright, love?
Yeah. Just a little scratched up and, well, I'm gonna need a new forge, but, I'm good.
Yeah, same here. Maybe we can, figure something out after all the fire has died down, eh?
Yeah. know this isn't the time. I still have your medal. It's barely somewhere in there.
Yeah. Only thing I was able to say was your friend's strange fabric. I was able to get to work right before the attack happens, and well, it was the closest thing to me, so kind of just brought it along. Don't know how much we'll be able to get done with it, but I've got it.
Yeah, we can dig for your other stuff later. But we're gonna head around and see if anyone else needs some help. You stay safe.
Arlos heard that?
I'll let out a breath. As long as you're both okay, that's all that matters now.
Arlos, you would, yes, I've heard that, but in between coughing fits and trying to rub the soot out of your eyes. Which eventually you will be able to do. Same with you, Akhtar.
I put too much passion in that speech.
Can I use prestidigitation to put out some the fires?
Yeah, you can use prestidigitation to simmer down some of the fires. How about some of the
I'd
folk?
like to help on that end.
Yeah. How about some of the folk as they're both using water buckets and like throwing dirt over any fires that they can. Anyone who can use magic is working on it. And you actually see one moment. You actually see Max and Kai, both in separate parts of the area, both seeming to use their battle tops to be to calm down some of the flames.
That's impressive.
They're the town's heroes. At least they try to be.
I can't really fault them for letting this happen.
Yeah, no one blames them for that. Honestly, I feel like the attack came at such a surprise you couldn't prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we tried.
Max makes sense because water element, but Kai doesn't make sense because firebird lol.
It's just funny. Also, he's hot.
Yeah.
But I'm Tish.
If fire better than other fire, it put fire out.
True.
I'd smash again. I mean what?
Don't worry, Mordred, there'll be time for that later.
Yeah. I don't think Tyson and Rye were able to make it out, unfortunately.
Oh, we lost two of them.
We did what we could, but we haven't been able to find them. We're doing what we can. Have you found anyone?
Wait, who's being asked?
I assume.
I assume Alina, since a little.
I thought in Arlos, you're being asked by Max.
Wait, what are they asking us? I got confused. I thought the question was for Alina.
Have you found
Did we
anyone
find
yet?
any survivors?
We found a couple. We found Ray. We found Blue.
We can't
I
have
feel like the whole town found Sock.
Oh, good. They're still going. Well,
No, Ray is no.
I didn't say alive.
I asked you about
Or
survivors.
survivors.
Oh, I misheard. I'm sorry. Well, one of them
Your
survived.
survivors.
There's a lot of fire going on.
That's fair. Look at the long day.
I found a bunch of children.
That's good. At least there's something hit right.
I'm sorry. It was just really funny the way you said it.
Look, I'm not really in a good mental state right now. Gotta be honest here.
Yeah,
Some heroes
yeah, I'm not either. Listen, there's literally nothing you could have done to prevent this. Aside from, unless you had the power of foresight, there's literally nothing you could have done. You may have the power of hindsight, but that's not going to help us here.
Well, we can still help out others.
That you can do. Get on it.
Right. Alright, go, my turtle!
He can't tell me that's not a really funny phrase out of context for putting out a fire.
Look, I didn't want to say the name.
Go, my turtle! Uwe steps into action. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Just Eric looks around.
Squirtle.
Points at himself. Me?
Squirtle.
I can never remember your name. I'm just gonna start calling you different U words.
Unknown. Anyways. What would you all like to do?
I think we need to
see how many
regroup.
people did I find.
We summoned the Turtle Squad.
You were able to find 9 children in that alleyway.
It's pretty good, but it's not double digits, so.
Everyone else roll me a d12. Or everyone roll me a d12.
D12.
Arlos, you're able to find 7 other individuals throughout the rubble. Yeti, you're able to find 3.
We're not very good at saving people.
Urgai, you're able to find 3 more, and Octad, you're able to find 4, and Alina, you find 3 after the initial 2. You're not sure if there's anyone left.
I just realized, what about the robot and what was his name? Who was at the
Oh no!
The mischievous creatures?
Oh yeah, the mischievous creatures. No.
Not just them, but the guy we found with the robot.
Duh.
God, where's
Oh,
Ted?
Dar!
Oh dar. There's so many people that we have to question, like, are they okay?
He was just in a closet. Oh, you guys.
We can find Salty later.
Okay. We can find Salty like wow. Oh, you're here.
In a second.
Hello. It was a lot of noise, so I hid.
You did a good thing. Good thing, Dar.
Thank you.
But what about the question? The creatures, Kiryu, are they okay?
They left with your friends, your kobolds.
Oh, my babies. All right, that's good.
So that means they don't know that their friend's alive.
Which one?
The one who was stuck under the door?
Was
What?
that not
No.
her?
No, I was talking about the question creatures, the cat, the dog, and the mouse. The others.
I'm getting characters mixed up.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Herbert, not
Nope.
Humphrey.
Oh.
Herbert was under the door. The French, haberdashery.
And the toaster, never forget the toaster.
Johnny is with Mina, all the way in Drakmir.
All right, so a good amount of people did escape beforehand, at least.
Or during.
Point being,
Wait, how far is the church away from here?
The church?
Mm-hmm.
oh, the one that we went to help the dude.
It's a few minutes walk out of town. So it's probably safe, all things considered.
I see what you're thinking, and I think it's a good idea.
We need to
Okay,
head
so
that
we wanna
way
send-
and make
we wanna
sure
send this
everyone's
book over there?
okay.
Wait, no, there's one more person I'm curious about. What happened to Fenthris's
Guardian?
husbando,
Gar,
baby daddy?
Guardian,
Gar.
Gah.
Yeah, I forgot.
also with Fenthers. Ray would have made sure of that.
Okay.
And we're doubly sure that is everyone who is quote unquote a survivor, right?
I'm
There's
trying
also,
to think because
Oh, there's also Papa John, and who was the other one?
those guys don't matter.
What?
I just thought I'd mention them because names.
Papa John was one of the three that you found, Urgai.
Little and Big Caesar.
Oh yeah, Little and Big Caesar.
Where's Seymour Butts?
Yes, you were. Alina, you found Little and Big Caesar. Arlos, you found Seymour Butts.
And I'm sorry, did
And
we find the
Salty.
little kobolds?
Unfortunately, Octat, you found the kobolds.
Oh, thank God.
They were inside of the torso of an armor set. You were a little trapped.
Thank you. The strat worked out.
You literally had to cut them out of it.
I gotta take him out like a can opener.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're
thank you.
welcome. It's all right. What? I'm glad you're all right.
Okay, that's the end of Timothy, okay? Agreed.
Hey, remember when I
Stop
said
reading my mind on can opener.
Wait, Arlos, what about your friend?
Feather?
Yeah, I forget what her, if she left her or not already.
No, she
Now,
was in church.
where's Bob?
That was my question, because Bob isn't here. I was going to think about something that said Bob.
Actually, Arlos, as you were walking around, you were watching Feather try to heal a couple people, as the church seemed to have mostly collapsed.
Oh no! Okay, well we can't send them there.
Not the church that you guys quested at, but like the actual church that was in town.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay,
what
so-
I was referring to.
Yeah, no, I thought you were talking
Oh.
about the other church that was full of zombies.
That is the one I was also thinking of.
The church that I healed
Word
at.
was.
Yeah.
But,
The
yeah,
church
we
that
might want to.
Urgai and Alina healed at, that one's collapsed. The other church is a couple minutes out of town.
Did we clear that one out? I don't remember.
We mostly cleared it out.
I don't like the fact that you said mostly.
I'm sorry that you missed a
It's
couple
okay.
things.
It's okay. If we go there, we can clear it out for everybody.
I do have a question.
I might have an answer.
This is unrelated. Is Hefus's house on the way to Drakvir or the opposite direction?
The opposite direction. It's on the way to Kero village.
Alright, just making sure. I couldn't remember.
Yep. It was literally in between Belakaya and Kero.
Yeah.
You all have access to the map if you want to look it up and see where Drakvir is.
Oh, we do? Which tab is it under?
It's not under a
I vote
tab.
we head toward the others and make sure they're safe.
It's pinned in the group chat.
Oh.
We definitely have to. Well, let's get this town situated first. We've already got enough to deal with here.
You got all the survivors you think you'd be able to?
Get little Vara to her mom.
Protect my jelly beans. This is not a good time for her to. It's a good thing she literally can't form core memories yet.
Core memories. I'm joking, Dad. I'm joking.
You
was very
say that
confusing
and
because it
she
wasn't
brings
Vara's
it up
voice.
later in life.
Look, I struggle to keep up some voices. Okay.
It's fine. I was just confused for a second.
I say, speaking of key memories, and I want to walk over to these guys. Maybe we should sit down and have some tea.
Now's not the time for your drugs.
Now's not the time for
No.
tea.
What happened?
About
People
the
are
memories.
bleeding out.
People are bleeding out and burning, and Uvula over there is just saying, "Let's have some tea."
Uvula.
I give up. I give up. I can't say his goddamn name. Every time I do, I lose it like
So
5
side
seconds later
note.
anyway.
Side note.
I'd have checked Joy over before going to look for people, of course, and baby Luna.
Yep. Joy is mostly just in shock. It seems the kids got here after destruction had already been completed. They're a little dirty, but other than that, they seem mostly alright.
I'll hug her when I get back to her.
Is that baby Luna or baby Vara?
Baby Vara.
Okay.
Luna can't say things.
I didn't know if maybe she could baby babble.
That's a verbal thing.
Well, I don't know. She's older than Vara, so.
Anyways, that's when we're gonna take our 10-minute break. Hope you're all gonna be alright and come back in a little bit. But in the meantime, we'll figure out what we're doing next. So, stick tight.
I'm gonna stick loose.
This place looks
Stabbing
familiar.
your daughter with the business end of a piece of the devourer. Devourer.
I was under
Bye,
a
Ira.
genjutsu. What? You
And
think
we're
I would
back.
just do that? You just think I would do that intentionally? What the fuck?
Mom and Dad are fighting again.
Mom keeps putting the blame on me. I work hard. I work hard to make this money. God damn it!
So
And
yeah,
I come home and I'm just getting bitched at. What the
this
fuck?
is most to everyone you've saved. Most. Just to
We
give
did pretty good.
Just to give you some perspective.
Yeah, we did pretty good. Could have been worse.
I just thought I'd ping that.
Wait, what? I missed it. I'm sorry. Oh. Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. I mentioned him. You guys didn't ask anything about it. Alright, anyways. What would y'all like to do now?
Well, I'm pretty sure all these people are dying to get into a new secure area, so we should probably get everyone organized inside.
Phrasing.
Dying may not have been the best word choice.
Let's rally them in.
Wait, what? What did I say?
They're all
said
dying
they've
to
been
get in
dying.
there.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think that's the best word choice given what just happened.
Fair enough.
So, how would y'all like to do this?
I want to move to the front. To like help guide people up to the. It's a church, right? Or what was it?
It is a church.
Yeah.
I'll stick to the back helping those who need it.
I'm slowly giving control of all the NPCs to you.
To me.
Everyone. You as in the group.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he thought he was the pro tag for a second.
No.
I
No,
got to
that's not-
find
I
my
was
mouse
confused.
now.
What was that? So if somebody really wants to control Little Caesar, you can.
Also, side note. I am 100% not the pro tag.
I am.
Wow, I was gonna say you're
Just
all the
kidding.
protag. Okay, and if somebody wants to control Salty, you're gonna have to ask Mikey. Because I know immediately what you would do if some of you had control over Salty.
What am I in control of?
You're in control of Salty.
Oh, and Salty mysteriously fell in a river.
Oh, hey Salty, how's it going?
I
He just said that. Look, somebody redeemed name an NPC, and they named someone Saul T. You're right here if it's any consolation.
Oh hey Saltier, how's it going? Shove.
Shut. So yeah, Mikey has control over Salty, and no one else. I mean, Mikey, you have control over everyone else as well, but like no one else has control over Salty. For-
promise to use my powers for chaotic neutral at best.
Hey, look,
Bruh.
I don't make the rules. Okay, yes I do.
Yes,
Let's
you do.
come on. I was literally saying earlier today that I am the one that makes the rules.
You're very adamant about it.
I was.
I can only move myself and Joy.
What? No, you should have control over everyone. Except
Oh, I can finally move Isaac again.
Yeah, you should be able to. You can maybe refresh.
Yeah, I can move everyone.
Yeah.
I have inhaled pizza. I feel a little better.
The
Nice.
Krusty Krab pizza
Is the
the
pizza?
you and me.
Really?
Mikey can breathe pizza.
Yep, I am Kirby.
Kirby.
I was gonna leave it at Curb, but I was like, I think I'll just
Kirby.
leave it Kirby.
Oh, I forgot Blue.
Fuck! Blue!
How could you forget Blue?
Look, I may be
He had a whole
stupid.
plot line.
I forgot to give control to Blue. Blue was here, but I forgot to give control.
Suddenly we accidentally just leave Blue behind. He's like, guys?
I was on the
Come back.
dog.
I didn't quite have time to repair my legs. Please wait for me.
Wait for me, I have tiny legs.
All right. So, who's up front? So, Bob.
I mean, I'll do it if no one else is going to fucking do
All
it.
right. So you open the door to the little shed there.
Oh, is this the shed that teleports us to a different dimension?
What are we supposed to do in there?
You just walk in, buddy. Trust me, it's a lot better than staying out here. You go inside, it's going to whisk you away to somewhere else. Well, it should anyway.
I'm not sure about that.
Why? Love, come on. Let's get in there. Sure, it's not as bad as back home.
Sure, why not?
And those two will step in. And I guess Big Caesar. Followed shortly by Little Caesar. Alright. Who's next?
Is everyone having doubts?
I'll make sure Charlie's okay carrying Zephyra.
Well, I mean, there is, but you see, this is a small shack. There's quite a lot of us here. How are we supposed to fit in that little place?
Sadly, we're going to have to smush in here like fish in a barrel. So,
We.
Like sardines.
it's going to be a little uncomfortable at first, but you'll get used to it.
Yes, we, as in the group.
Okay.
No,
Oh yeah, right. Is this the guy we could barely understand?
it's Herbert. Taylor.
Really, the fabric.
Also, yes, Robo is there.
Yes, I saw.
You all asked, I didn't answer, but I put him there. Is it okay that I bring my toy creator kit?
You're going to need something to do.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Kai, Max, I am so sorry for your loss.
Listen, I'm just glad we were able to get as many people as we did out. We'll deal with the rest later.
Guys, you're quite brave for trying to defend your home like that.
Have to be. There's 2 of us left.
Douglas will put his hand on his shoulder and try guiding him inside.
He puts a hand on your hand as he walks in. He also gives you a nod on the way in. Thanks.
That's my bro.
Through this door?
Dar,
Yes.
you know, you always seem to amaze me.
Uh-huh.
Somehow, in the worst of situations, you always come out on top. It's actually quite peculiar. Peculiar. Jesus Christ, English is hard.
It is a hard word.
It is a very difficult language.
You did good, Dar. Now enjoy your rest in here.
Yay!
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 Man, that's. I mean, Dar didn't fully get out of that with a win. He had a job lined up, and now it's gone.
I know, and I feel so bad.
To be fair, his employer's dead, so.
That's also true.
Okay. Thanks for the help. We're doing our best.
Without you, we might not even have these individuals to save. So you should be thanking yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. You did just fine.
We did what we could, but we're no match for you guys, and I think that shows. You guys are awesome.
Won't say thank you, but you shouldn't count yourself sell yourself short just yet.
Nah,
It-
it just gives us school to work to. He gives you a thumbs up. With a flash of white behind him.
I'll give him a thumbs up back.
Yes, I just said his profile picture. That's
That
what
signature thumbs up.
it is. That signature thumbs up. The image you see there, that's what you see. That's what happens.
It should be honored. Not everybody gets to see that.
Exactly. Only most people get to see that.
Can we get you say run playing in the background while he's doing a thumbs up?
Sure. Somebody make the short. Oh wait, that's me.
If it makes you feel better, buddy, then yeah.
Wide.
Anyways.
Max, I told you it's cramped in there. What are you doing?
Oh, sorry. I'll take up less space. Hold on. I think I can squeeze a little more.
Holy shit! How did you do that?
Special magic. I can't hold it.
Well, all right. You learn something new every day.
I tried.
Holy shit, it's reduce increase size.
Anyways.
Max's partners must love him. Holy shit.
Is it my turn to go in there?
It sure is, buddy. Go on in.
Yay. I will try to make as many toys as possible.
I never
Maybe
get tired of the
wait-
tiny yay.
Just maybe we should wait on that until after everyone's settled in.
But what else will I have to do?
You know what? You can assist me up here. You can help me guide everyone through the door.
Are you going to be making toys?
I don't think I'm quite qualified for that. I don't want to take your occupation.
Then I don't care.
What?
I'm going inside now.
Okay.
Thank you for your assistance.
No problem. Thank you for the many questions I now have.
Oh. I heard this is the way to the inside.
It is, Mr. Butts. Please make yourself comfortable.
Oh, please, call me Seymour. And who knows? Maybe if we have the time, I can make everyone some steamed clams.
Ooh, steak clams.
Boy!
If something smells.
Oh, don't worry. It's an old family recipe. You see, sometimes we call them Skinner burgers.
What?
Steamed
What?
clams. Steamed hams.
Arlo's being just baffled by this information. What do you? How? Why? Who came up with this?
Simpsons.
Also, I made a Phoenix Wright reference. I didn't know if anybody got it.
I didn't hear it.
I said if something smells.
Well, I'm gonna say it's not that big a place, but I say it should work. At least for now. Do we can get something bigger set up, something more sturdy.
This would do, yeah. This is only temporary, Papa John. This is only temporary. You'll be able to chef it up whenever you wish, as soon as we get everything set up.
Excuse me, Salty just survived his freaking hometown being destroyed by a clown.
Man, Crow, I can't believe Luke attacked us like that.
Hey, Luke
I
attacked us?
also fought 3 dragons in one, apparently.
Yep.
Well, I couldn't have been
4.
salty, so it had to be the other clown.
Oh, oh no!
Okay, I'm gonna go in. I'll see if I can whip up something good for everyone.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. It's gonna have to wait until after these doors close.
And can I get a little help?
Yeah, I'll carry Blue inside. Feather, can you hold the door for me?
Yes, of course.
Thank you, love. Up we go, Blue.
Feather accidentally lets go and he sends Arlos with them.
Ah!
They end up somewhere entirely different and nobody knows what's happening.
Don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
The fuck is
Fuck is
Kansas?
Despite the fact that Britain exists.
Shut up.
Listen, constants and variables. Unfortunately, Britain is always a constant.
Oh. Yeah. Alright, who's next?
I think Salty, no?
Mikey.
Yes.
That's you.
Yes. Boom.
I have to say, this is, not what I expected. Could have been bigger.
You and me both. Could have been bigger.
Yes.
What the?
I mean,
Just
it's
be glad we have anything for everyone at all.
It's supposed to be a church, is it not?
We're going to get there. Don't you worry. We're just making a pit stop.
The fuck are you on about? You said we were going
Just
to a
get
church.
inside.
What are you talking about? This was supposed to be a church.
Just get inside, and everything will make sense.
Fucking
What the fuck?
These hero types, I swear.
I have half the mind to leave him out here. Salty, you better fucking get yourself, bro.
Yeah, you wouldn't be the first to tell me that.
I assume we're
Cock
sending
his
the
arm.
older... I assume we're sending the older ones with them too.
I mean, I thought you all were going in.
Yeah, I just didn't know what order we were going in.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta get everyone else inside first.
Can I go inside? It's cold out here. Jefferson's not feeling too good up here. You watch the little
Start a fire! No, I'm
You
kidding.
watch the little dragon on her head goes and just lights a little fire.
That
It
was
just blows a
adorable.
little
I'm not
fire.
gonna lie.
Tiny lizard is cute. Get him inside.
Yeah, go ahead. You've been through enough, far more than any child should have, and you held your own. I'm proud of you all. Go rest inside.
I'm trying.
I think you did more than try. Pretty sure you succeeded. You're still here. And for the most part, still sane.
That's questionable at best, and you know it.
I said most part.
The child is scarred forever.
I would imagine so.
She already has been. Dad, are we gonna be
Yes.
okay?
Of course we are, sweetheart. We've made it through a lot worse, yeah? I mean, literally, Turtle Sensei got cleaved in half, and we made it fine out of that.
What? You didn't
Do
look
not
bad.
worry about it. I'm fine.
I could have sworn Zell was there for that part. Oh no, Zell wasn't.
Was she not?
No.
I specifically remember leaving her out of that conversation.
Mm-hmm. This is the first
Well-
she's heard of it.
Oh, well, now you know.
Good time for a lore drop.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Did you die? Yes. Yeah. Did you die? Yes. But I got better.
I get. To be fair, same.
Now we have 2 instances of Jesus, basically.
3, technically.
God damn it.
Oh, true. Actually, to be
I
fair,
guess
that one
Charles.
happened. Oh, I was counting Arlos, but that happened before the game started. So
Need any help, Charlie?
I should be good. I'll take her inside.
You can see Charlie's arms like starting to struggle a little bit, but he's very determined to bring Zephyria in himself. Charlie gives you a nod, Arlos.
Oh. Arlos will give him a nod and then give him a hug. And then whisper to him, "Thank you. Thank you for loving her. More than I think anyone else really can. That's saying a lot."
You know I'm right in between you two, right?
Yeah, well, I love you, and he loves you too, so shut up and get loved, idiot. And
Yeah.
get your ass inside.
And
Arlos will kiss her forehead. Go and rest. You've been
Dumbass.
through a lot.
what? I gotta be sassy to my dad sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
it's amazing she has the energy for that, considering she was dead.
Sass is life!
Sass is life.
Apparently.
I too would be sassing on my deathbed. It's fine.
Same. Who's next? Okay, who's next? Other guy. You still feeling well? Of course, yes?
Yes.
Okay. You might want to head inside. It seems like you've all been through a long day. Arta?
Alta picks up Vara, just fully over the shoulder. Just like, all right, we're going in. And he runs in.
Ah!
Did he just do a 40 yards fucking sprint?
Yes.
That scream was so real too.
Look, I had to parallel the that she did when she was younger.
Sam has
Alina
to
will
manage energy
chuckle
at any
at
given
their
time because you never
antics.
know we're going to do something stupid.
Yep. Alina, do you want to share that again? Alina will chuckle at their antics. Got it. Okay, that was interesting. But really, Erika, you might want to head inside before you freeze your scales off.
I'll be fine. I just want to make sure everybody gets in.
Well, it looks like everybody is in, except for the rest of your party, of course.
Not everybody.
Oh?
I'm referring to the rest of the party.
She mentioned the
You're-
rest of the party.
Yeah, no,
You're
that's
the
what I'm
next in
referring to.
line.
You're in front of me.
I'm holding the door.
How
I
about
literally
EK?
just.
How
I was
are you
literally in the
feeling?
back and I sprinted in.
Wait,
How
what?
about you, Kay? How are you feeling? Said Alina.
Mikey, is you alive?
Barely.
Mikey, we love you.
I love you too.
I think
I'm
Mikey's
not
just
trying-
tired.
Oh no, it's not even just that. It's like my internet keeps trying to like cut you guys out. So like, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't really know how we ended up here.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Basically, everything else was collapsed, and this was a few minutes out of town, so we figured it was safe, and everyone's coming here.
Okay.
It's your turn to go in. Alina,
God
ask
damn
how
it.
you're feeling.
Kay'll look to Alina and be like, I'm alright. But I better get these two inside. And he just casually hoists Isaac up onto his shoulder instead of putting him in air jail.
Oh, this is new.
New core memory unlocked.
New core memory unlocked.
Alright, I'll just shove you three.
Shoulder
into-
jail, just kidding.
Eat.
I kind of like this, actually. Alina?
Hello, Alina. Is everything alright?
We'll make that damn clown pay. I know that for a fact.
The clown will bleed.
I wouldn't hold on to that anger. It'll eat you up inside. You should rest for now.
Feather, no offense, but the bastard made me slay my own daughter.
Doctor's orders.
Orders? What?
She looks at you. She gives you a look like, don't test me.
Death to clown.
Carlos will dart his eyes away fine. This bullshit. The goddamn clown gets to go around blowing up everyone he wants, and I have to sit here and behave.
Oh, behave. Behave, baby, yeah.
Because I thought that was the clown saying it for a second.
Ah, that would have been awkward.
Behave, baby. Yeah.
Oh
no.
Does it not sound like it
Trust
could
me,
be something you'd be
I'll
saying?
get through it soon enough. But we can't let him get away with it.
I know you won't. But you can't hold on to it for now. We don't know where he is, and we're all weakened. So for now, you must rest.
Yeah.
You're okay?
As I said, I'm making sure I'm the last to enter.
They're both holding the doors open.
I am one person.
Yes, the one person left.
I mean, he-
Fine.
He wants them to go through.
Do you not want to talk to them at all?
Fine.
I'm just saying.
It's not that. It's just I don't trust the fact that a non-player character is going to be one of the last people going through the door.
It's
Feather-
fine.
Feather is trustworthy. You have my word.
That is
I
not
don't believe
what
your
I
word.
trust.
Is it because she treated you that you don't trust her? It's just... It's just like I hate
that is not who I
something.
don't. That is not who I don't trust. I do not trust a, and I quote, potential other party appearing.
Oh, you really want to say it like that, huh? You hear the voice of God in your head.
Oh.
Huh? You want to go? Huh? Huh? Huh, punk? I'll fight you. 1-on-1. Mano Agato.
Did you say plink or twink? What did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, what do you think? You want to go, punk?
Oh, you said. It definitely
Oh,
sounded like an I.
I don't know how you got that from Punk, brother. How?
Punk.
I didn't hear punk. It sounded like I heard the letter I.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah, twink? You want to go? Let's go.
I hate when I get twinked.
Hey yo.
So, Turtle, is something the matter?
Yeah, turtle. Is something the matter? Huh? Huh?
Maybe Turtle's racist towards Feather.
What the fuck?
Since when?
Don't worry, Octa. I'm messing with him. All right. So how do you want to go, turtle? Huh? You wanna go mano a mano? Cause I'll let you know. I don't go down easy. I'm a disembodied voice in the sky. Yeah. What you gonna do?
As I can tell.
Arlos, you just hear Urgai say, "As I can tell."
Are you? As you can tell, what? You've just been standing there for the past 45 seconds.
It's only been 45 seconds.
I can make it longer than that if you want. Don't test me, you little bitch.
I'll walk in.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, wait.
Are you sure your friends are going to be alright?
You know, we've been through a lot through our travels, and I'll say, so far we've been able to bounce back from anything. It may take some time, though.
That's good. You need to keep that up. She kisses you on the cheek. Come inside soon.
Right after you, can I slap her butt on the way through the door?
Sure.
Yeah!
Very heartfelt moment followed by a slap on the ass.
I can still be heartfelt.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, he felt her pulse.
He not gets it.
Alright.
Alright, we'll close the door behind us.
Alright, you close the door. And you're also in the room.
Where's the earth-shattering kaboom?
There's not a kaboom.
There's supposed to be a great earth-shattering kaboom.
You're supposed to open the door.
Oh.
We took out the bomb. We took out the bomb in the house.
Thanks, Doc.
Don't worry, I'm there when references are made, as long as I understand them.
One moment as I load in all these tokens.
Guys, where's the elevator?
You open the doors and you see a familiar sight in front of you.
I'm starting to think this might not have been the best idea.
Well, did you have another one that you would like to give me?
I didn't say I didn't have any other ideas. I'm just saying it might not have been the best idea.
That simply will know when the time comes.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where exactly are we?
Big Caesar is talking.
You know, we're at church. This church, however, will speed up the process of the outside world. Time moves differently here.
Then what the fuck are we doing here?
It's the only place that we thought of. Everywhere else was turned to goddamn ash and rubble.
You know what? Fair. Come on, Junior, let's go. I guess we can say you took me to church.
That song.
Bro, that song was fucking everywhere when I was in construction. Holy fuck.
What was it, 2016? I drove me insane.
All right, so you all slowly are led up the mountain, and when you all get here, Alina, you hear a familiar voice call out to you, as it says,
Lena, do you have a moment to discuss something?
it seems to be coming from this direction, specifically this chicken. You were saying, Arlos?
Do you accept Bob as your Lord and Savior?
You accept Bob as your Lord and Savior. I know you can hear me, Alina. I simply want to...
I'll take a deep breath. Yes.
Come. I have a question for you.
Don't you think that Charles just kind of looks at this tiny chicken and is like, "Is that who's speaking right now?"
Oh, no one else hears this. Just
Oh,
Alina.
okay.
I have my request ready, if you're willing to hear it.
I did agree to this, so I'm ready.
Very well. This form of mine is quite limiting in its capabilities, and I require something more dexterous in a way. So, my request, I would ask to use the body of your child for one night while she is asleep. No harm will become of her. Nothing physical.
That sounds
Which one,
sus.
though?
The older. Is this acceptable for my half of the bargain?
And you're sure she'll be fine?
No physical harm will become of her. As for anything else, well, she seems to have dealt with enough.
She'll hesitate.
sir.
Sorry. I know I can't really say no, but I need a second opinion if you don't mind from someone else in attendance.
Make it quick. I run on a solid, on a tight schedule. A tight schedule of sitting in places and looking at you. It's quite entertaining to me.
No, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that.
I'll reach out internally again to the Fox.
I don't like this guy. What do you think?
I know, but what choice do I have? I can't say no.
So long as no harm comes to her, right? If we could have spoken earlier, I would have suggested away from this, but well, I guess it's our only choice.
Yeah, but I'm worried about her mental state from it.
Depends on what he's going to do. But at this point, I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can stop exactly what he's doing.
I have to trust his word.
The devil's always in the details. Their word is law. So they'll follow it to the number, the letter. Sorry, I forget what your human concepts are sometimes.
All good. Well, I'm gonna say yes.
Well, it's a deal. Pleasure doing business with you, Alina. And don't worry, I guarantee she will be safe. Have a good night.
Just no funny business is all I ask.
I wouldn't clown around.
Some of them.
She'll tense up at the mentioning of clown.
Have a good night.
Do you rejoin the group?
You too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Alright. You rejoin the group and everyone continues onward. Towards the original entrance that you all came into. The door seems to be wide open, almost as if it's expecting you.
Well, that's not fucking ominous.
You were here before.
Yeah, but you said like it was expecting us.
Roll me a religion check.
Oh, okay.
Anyone who wants to know.
Oh, I don't know shit.
I don't know anything either.
Is Anyone know anything?
Todd would not be interested.
Can I use my plus? What the fuck is this thing? The knowledge of the afterlife on this, since this is a skill.
Sure, yeah. Although
Yay!
Kay does know what it is. But I'll let you roll first to see if you also get the information.
Yay!
Yay!
It didn't help. It didn't help at all.
Okay. Oof. Okay. Well, Kay at least knows that you all have completed the trials of this goddess before. So you are welcome to enter and leave the church at your leisure. As Alina also recognizes this. Though it's more of a hunch. Yeah, you were 2 short. And Urgai was 1 short.
Oh no, it's goddamn Six Flags all over again.
Too short.
That sounds like there's a story behind it, but I'll ask that later.
It's just short.
I think it's simply just too short.
Was too short to go on rides.
Damn.
I don't think I've ever had that problem.
I was in fucking 3rd grade.
Oh, oof. I feel that. Though I didn't really get roller coasters until I was an adult already. But anyways, would you all like to head inside?
I don't know. The light shows were kind of pretty.
Yeah, aren't they? It's kind of cold out here, though.
Yeah.
No, there is something I'm concerned about, but I'll bring it up if it comes up.
Okay. So, you all head inside?
Yes.
Sure, unless any of the NPCs have any questions.
What is happening here?
We're getting you a new safe house, buddy. Somewhere where they wouldn't ever think to look for you.
Okay. Very, very well.
That, or we could just be farming you for, meat.
I don't think this is an appropriate time for those kinds of jokes.
You know, you're not wrong. I'ma still make it, though.
I'll be. It's a large church you got here.
That was Little Caesar.
Little Caesar sound like Rones fucking Papa. Holy shit.
23.
My mistake.
The only reason I'm little is because he's like 40.
You know what? Fair enough, yeah.
This will have plenty of space for me to make my famous steamed hams.
I thought it was steamed clams.
No. It's steamed hams.
Oh, okay. Alright. That's what threw me off earlier. I was like, what?
I'm glad we keep this joke going.
Steamed hamburger.
Alright. And with that, that's actually where we're going to call it today. I know it's a little bit of a shorter session, but
A lot happened. I'm okay with it.
a lot happened and I gotta be somewhere in the morning.
Fair enough.
So, yeah. That's what we're
Fair.
gonna call
Damn
it.
it.
Sorry. But yeah, hope everyone enjoyed. Hope everyone had fun. Or,
No.
or wasn't traumatized into the ground again.
Now I guess we need that wish spell even more than before.
Too bad I cried.
Oh, sorry.
Are you though? Because you keep doing it.
It's good storytelling.
Fuck, she's right.
Anyways, I I'd like to give one final
Still, are you
outro.
sorry?
Yes. To my... Oh, wait, hold on. Let's wait for the ad break to happen. Finish.
Oh no, not the ads.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Need a
Can't do
break
anything
from the
about it.
ads?
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the show, because we are ending the session here. But I would also like to give everyone just a moment to outro themselves, say what they're got in the works, and yeah, give a little more info about what they're doing.
I'll go first. It's been a while. I am Octop, played by Docto. Big stretch. And, I'm streaming probably tomorrow, I think.
Nice.
Gotta continue more Earthbound.
Earthbound.
Gosh,
Which
I just got to
Earthbound?
move. What did you just say?
I said which Earth, because there's Earthbound in the beginning, goes on the Nintendo Switch, which is the
I'm ignoring
first
Yeti
one.
for that question.
Okay.
For two reasons. One, that shows Yeti's not watching my content. Rude. Second, only Earthbound.
I've been busy. It's summer. It is spring and summertime. It's the busiest time at my job.
I'm like, feel guilty for doing work. Anyway.
My work already makes me feel guilty for doing work.
Damn, that's capitalism, baby.
Anyway, that's about all I got going.
Also YouTube stuff, but you know.
Oh yeah, I do YouTube stuff right now. I don't even know what I have up. I have Universal Studios Adventure going up, and a Power Rangers game.
Nice.
Nice. Which
Yeah.
one?
It was one on the N64. I think it was called Lightspeed Rescue. I played it like 2
Yeah.
months ago, so
Hey,
Yeah, I played that one.
one of my favorites, personally.
it was pretty boring.
Also, which Universal game are we talking about? The one with the GameCube?
Also fair.
It was on the N64.
Okay, I was thinking it's the GameCube one.
You literally just hold A and win. So it's not exactly exciting.
That's fair.
I was looking for an old one I played with like some kids when I was young, but I couldn't remember which one it was. So I'm gonna like go through the Power Rangers library and try to find it.
Noted. Probably Dino Thunder on the PS2. Anyways.
That was a good game.
I was pretty sure it's on the 64. It might have been PS1 though. Anyways, Yeti, go because I shamed you already.
Steam Sam's.
I am the Mini Yeti. I'm the Yeti VTuber. I'm actually doing a collab Thursday with a few people. Mordred, if I remember correctly, also agreed to do that for a Warframe.
Ooh, Warframe.
Yeah. And for the most part, that's all I have planned. And I should be getting a new capture card soon. I don't know if I'll have it on the day of the stream. I might still have my old one that stutters. But I will be getting a Elgato as recommended by Sammy, Crow, and Doc.
Yeah, we've been telling you.
I can't remember which one it is. It's like the $160 one.
Yeah.
The HD 550 or something like that. I don't remember the number.
Yeah.
It's probably like the 60S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something. Either way, an Elgato's always good.
Yeah.
It's
I've
actually
had my
60
original Elgato.
C or X now.
Yeah, I think it is the latter.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a better capture card than the $30 replacement I have.
Yeah. You can't keep up on this kind of stuff. Unfortunately.
I had to at the time. I had to at the time because it was an emergency purchase because my last one literally had just stopped working.
But yeah, who's next?
But yeah, eeny, meeny, miny, Mikey.
Well, gee, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Cosmos Keeper, aka Karen, and I don't have anything planned for any time soon because my internet's been a piece of shit the last couple weeks. But I do want to do a playthrough of it's probably gonna be a one-shot stream of Little Kitty Big City. And then
Let's go. Fucking nice
Um,
hats.
Am I the little
it's
kitty?
fucking nice heads. What's Amy?
Am I the little kitty?
I mean you can be.
Yay!
Ew, confetti.
And then I was planning a special stream if I can get my internet working.
Hey, yo, special
But
stream.
more details on that later. Not like that, Sammy.
I know.
Damn.
I'm just being silly.
Quick
Damn,
chat,
I'm
girlfriend.
disappointed.
It's like,
That one.
That one.
damn.
Look, I can try.
Alright. Who's
Oh,
next?
I didn't do much better. Oh, God.
No, Sam's being a degenerate.
Yeah, I
yeah.
wasn't
Okay.
rolling
Well,
insight. I rolled on my insight. I rolled well. I was just being stupid.
I rolled a 2.
Yeah, you really did roll a 2.
It's
My-
covered up by
my insight might have my insight might have succeeded, but my intelligence is very low, so I didn't really know what was going on.
Whoever's hasn't gone yet, go.
Crow or Mordred.
I think it's yeah.
Pro.
Oh, alright, I'll go. Hello everyone, my name is KiryuMakotoVT. I played Arlo's the Hexblade Warlock. You can find me under all socials under that same name. Make it pretty easy for you guys. We finally beat fucking Bloodborne, and we moved on to Ghost of Tsushima.
Let's go.
So proud of you. I have not
Thank
played that one yet, so
It's fun. It is very fun.
I'm thinking of Sekiro, but no, I don't have to go to Tsushima.
I played
Either.
like
I
a
still
good
have
2
to
hours of
finish
that.
Sekiro. To finish Sekiro.
Is Tsushima another Souls? I don't know anything about
No,
Ghost of Tsushima.
it's in-
No, it's
No, it's not.
but based on a true story.
Okay. All right. I heard it's good, so
Yeah.
I hope you
It is
enjoy it.
very good. But yeah, we play that and Smite whenever we don't feel like playing that. So come on by.
Yeah.
And Mordred, go ahead.
I am Alina, played by Mordred. Need to figure out what to play tomorrow.
Yeah. And I am Sammy, your god mummy for the campaign, and you're just TTRPG VTubing cat overall. I'm also a degenerate. Yep,
Hooray!
that's true.
Me too. You should hear our conversations, except no, because that would be dedicated to another website.
That would
Hey,
be, honestly. But yeah,
People don't know the kind of conversations we have.
it's something, all right. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all join us next week for the next episode of Adventures.
Sam Cheese.
Yeah, in Farris.
Adventures in Sam Cheese.
Adventures in Farris, not Sam Cheese. All right. I hope you all have a good night. Who the fuck are we rating?
Ooh, can I pick this time?
Sure.
Go
I think
for
Yeti
it.
picked last time, so yeah, go ahead.
All right, can we go
And then I
to
picked the time
what
before
you
that, and then
call
I
it?
To who?
What you mark call it? I'm gonna just type it out for you.
Please do.
We
That's
didn't
a-
raid
that's a-
last time.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was right. The stream died, didn't it?
No. We rated last time, but not the time before that.
Yes.
And not because
And
stream
the time
died,
before that,
because well, that was pretty heavy. I don't want to like.
yeah.
There's a lot.
And then I picked
Because
the time before that,
trauma.
and then I can't remember who was after that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, hope everyone had a good time. We're gonna be rating call it.
Yeah,
It's a clever name. I like that.
Yeah.
you gotta tell them that I loved it.
And we
By the way-
also have some rate messages. If I can spell it correctly. The first one is obviously for subscribers or followers. The second one is for subscribers.
They also go by he, they, so just heads up.
Noted. Alright. let's go show some support to our Hide friend.
Hey.
Yay! Playing Team Fortress 2, that looks fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see you all next time. So,
Don't forget to tip your waiters.
well,
Don't do it.
no, do it, especially if you're in America.
No, don't do it. It's not nice to,
They don't get
it's
paid
not nice to
shit.
make them fall over.
Jesus Christ. No, what?
No, I'm serious. Like, honestly, tip your waiters.
Yeah.
Do it,
Please.
I agree.
especially in
Don't
America.
bully your waiters. It's not nice.
Do not.
I'm leaving.
Oh.
What the fuck?
I don't think Sam got what I was saying.
Bully your waiters. Don't. Alright, have a
Bully
good
your
one.
winners with currency.
Yes.
You know what? Yeah. If you're gonna
Yeah.
tip them, do it
You
in
know,
nickels.
you know what? Flex how much money you have by giving them a huge tip.